the Mitsubishi Motors Badminton Horse Trials 2014 cross-country course, part of the most prestigious three-day event in the world. For the first time in 25 years, event director Hugh has taken a step back from designing the world's most famous eventing track. Excited to be taking over the reins is experienced technical delegate and the Rome European Championships course designer Giuseppe Della Chiesa.
Well, of course, the great difference this year in planning it was having a new course designer for the first time in 25 years. And I thoroughly enjoyed it, actually, because I've really been acting as his assistant in many ways. I mean, to try and get the work done, because obviously he doesn't live here. He comes and visits it a few days each month. And so in between, together with the Willis brothers, who've done a wonderful job, I've been sort of activating what he wants to do. We've got on very well, I think. It was very important for us to find somebody who we felt would fit in with badminton, would get on with all of our people, and frankly would design the sort of courses all of us here like and want to see. But I haven't regretted it for a minute. It was the best decision I'd taken for 25 years, I think.
What can I tell you? It's a fantastic opportunity, but it's also a big challenge, you know, out here. You are in the place where eventing, everybody refers to badminton as eventing. So it's been a great challenge. But fortunately, you know, the team is fantastic. So it's been good for me actually to stick with this team, and they're giving me a great comfort zone, and we're going along. I know Hugh since a long time, and after the first surprise of being asked, well, the surprise was actually that Hugh would actually give up after 25 years. That was the first surprise. The second surprise was that he asked me to actually take this. But after that, I said, okay, fine. I'm happy to take this. One condition: you won't disappear. No, in the way that we've been working together well. Also, I've been TDing here before, so we know each other well. We've been on the job together. And I think this has been very helpful in the way that when I came out here, I said, okay, my idea is surely, first of all, to respect the tradition of this place, of this event and whatever, and possibly put some small innovation into it and different eyes. As always, you come in a place, you see it from a different view. And Hugh has been extremely supportive on this. Honestly, you know, I never thought I could actually manage to do all what I did in the first year. It was a bit, but he really came along, and the team of the Willis brothers were fantastic. So for the moment, it all worked very well for me.
After all the hard work, the course is set. And come cross-country day, horse and rider combinations will make their way to the famous start box, hoping that after an adrenaline-fueled 11.5 minutes, 30 fences and 45 jumping efforts, they'll be heading towards the finish line.
The first and the last fences in the arena is a great thing. It works well. Why change it? It's a good idea. So we start in a very traditional way on the first opening fence. Is there to say, you know, welcome to the riders and the horses, and off they go. They get a good cheer from the crowds, and so I think it's a good way to start. Then you go down, out, you go through the warm-up area, and immediately you have a little check. Fence number 2 is a log. It's just a bit in the woods. There is a little wood there, so you just don't have it straight in front of you. There is just a need a bit of control and check that everything is working properly. Go down to a traditional fence that is free, that is the keeper's brush. That is, again, a fence to warm up. This is more an attacking fence, where you expect to, you know, be sure that your horse is forward, and if not, just give him a reminder, because there is more to come. Just behind the turn, there is an open parallel. The open parallel is, again, something to create attention in the horse. My idea is to try at the beginning to let the horses actually jumping well up in the air, the riders to understand exactly what is the situation.
So, fence 5, the SAVILLS escalator, Giuseppe, the first test, I think, on the course. Everybody having been warmed up so far. So, what are you trying to do here?
The idea is I would say, is a quite regular question of accuracy down the slope, but actually this first element is here to produce a bit of movement. I think, you know, it's not enough just to come to a fence, you know, hanging on, but you want to have accuracy in the movement. So I'm trying to create some momentum here that then needs to be controlled down the turn and down the slope.
Okay, so let's go to where they land over this and take it from there.
And then from here, you know, the idea is that you have this first fence that you need already to check from when you're landing there. And after this fence, there is a bit of a drop behind it, and clearly there will be some momentum. Horses will be moving here.
Yes.
And when they are moving, you just need to go for the next one. I think you just need to commit yourself. Difficult to actually know what the striding will be, depending on horses. Some horses will just carry a lot in the air, some less. So I think you just need to keep direction and the steering.
And they run up Worcester Avenue to coming back towards the house. Team GBR, the two silver birch oxes in the trees. Team GBR, the cause we're supporting, the beneficiary from Badminton this year. And those I think will jump very well, but just quite a tight turn between them. But they are big fences. Well, now Giuseppe, the lake comes much earlier in the course than it has done for a very long time, and they jump this quite big fence before the lake. And is that serving any particular purpose?
Well, yes, I think, you know, it's a bit the same, the idea. Instead of you have here a lot in the eyes of the horses, because there is the public, there is a huge, only that on its own is already a test. But I think it's important also to create a situation in which horses actually really jump into water, not only pop into water. And so I think that fence will have some kind of influence, because this is a decent fence in water with a decent drop.
Yes, it's
and I think, you know, that fence will create some some jumping, keep the jumping in the horses, and then this will produce a nice jump in.
Yes, as you say, this is compared to many fences into water. That's quite big, isn't it?
It is quite big.
If we go around the other side, you probably notice
you will see a bit of the drop also.
Yes, that must be close to 2 meters, yes, which is the maximum allowed, actually,
yes,
isn't it?
We are close to the maximum.
Yes.
Yes. And that, I would say, is a very straightforward fence, but all the dimensions are there.
So they land somewhere here.
Yes.
Take us through the rest of the test.
So the idea is, again, you created a jump and now control. And the control is simply to keep on a right curve, and you have a bit of an angled boat, and then you have a jetty coming out. Come out of the water, and you get actually in a new complex. Every time I walk here, and I see this beautiful house, and this place that is, you know, is amazing. And I always saw horses just galloping fast through here. I thought they could spend some time here, because then they could have a view of the house. And the horses will come twice here. So they are coming now once after the lake, before going down to the Lackington Lane and all that area there. And they're jumping the giant stable. Is just a bit of a breather after the water, on a slight curve. From here we move down a steeplechase fence, just to be a reminder of the past of the steeplechase. And then you actually go through the gully of the sunken road, but there is no fence coming in, there is no ditch under, there is just a fence on the other side. Come out, we go out to the Irish Bank. Irish Bank, traditional, kept it. It worked well last year. For the first time there was the keyhole on it, and it was quite innovative to see a keyhole on an Irish Bank, but it jumped perfectly well, so why not keep it? We have it there. We just added a little directional fence after it, and we'll see how it works. And then we just go a bit different, a bit of a change. So there is where the course moves a bit up the hill and goes to this new pond that could only be called the new pond.
So here we are, top end of the Luckington Lane, in an area nobody's ever seen before, never been used before at the 3-day event.
Yes, actually.
And this wonderful new pond. So.
Yes, actually, you know, when I came here, I had a walk around. You know, I know the park since many years, but I got this thing of saying, okay, let's see if there is something else. And moving around, walking around, I actually came up the hill here, and I saw this beautiful, different view of the house. And I said, it would be nice to come up here. And then looking better, I saw actually there was, in the middle of many trees, there was an existing pond. And then we discussed it together, and well, great to be able, on my first year, actually to achieve such a new complex.
So in terms of the fences, Giuseppe, going in here, you've used this, it's quite a favourite of yours, this silver birch, this material, isn't it?
Yes, I think, you know, here we are jumping anyway under shade. There are trees and there is water and trees involved, and we know by experience that you need always to be very careful for horses to understand exactly what you're asking. I think silver birch works well in these conditions. I think there is a texture to it, and horses tend to understand and understand better shapes, and we'll see how it works.
So let's go and have a look at the fence that they've got to jump on the way out. Quite a steep bank here. We didn't turf that.
No.
Because I think we all thought it was better to keep it as a nice firm stone bank.
Horses carry a lot of water when they come out of water.
Exactly.
So I think it was important to keep it like that.
Yes.
There is a good takeoff point. We know that under here we have good,
very good solid ground.
And
then a corner with a little bit of a spread.
Yes, it's not for a 4-star level. It's not, you know, to be considered an important corner. But surely you need some attention, because from down there, horses won't immediately be able to see that there is actually a second rail.
Exactly.
So riders will need to be careful to, you know, take them to the right place, and so that then the horses have a chance to see the second rail and cover the second rail.
And they've got the alternative of that upright. If they want it, probably a little bit more straightforward, but just slightly out of the line.
Yes.
And it goes off back down to, well, to the Vicarage V.
Vicarage V, yes.
Familiar Vicarage
Yes,
V,
Vicarage
which is
V.
the next fence.
Absolutely.
So here we are at the Vicarage V,
Yes.
a fence that put horrors into everybody many years ago. But you've done some adaptations.
Well, yes, you know, when I was asked to come here, I said, okay, we need to jump again, because it's been a nightmare in my youth.
In your imagination.
In my imagination, only to look at it. And so how can we jump Vicarage V today in the modern sport? I think we worked a bit on the takeoff. We worked on getting it very clear for the horses to get a good takeoff point. And then I think this fence, the more I look at it, the more is actually a very modern fence. It's an incredibly traditional fence, but also it asks all the right questions. It's about accuracy, directions, scope, boldness.
Yes.
It's all there.
Because I mean, if you go and stand right up to this, stand here, that bank looks a long way away.
That looks quite a long way away, but often, you know, we don't realize how much horses actually cover the ground, and I think the point is not to come and look at from here. You better look at from further down.
That fence on its own, probably nothing to worry about for horses and riders of this level, but it's not on its own, is it?
Absolutely. Today they would just take it as a let-up fence, you know, if you just put it there. But actually, if you connect it to this question here, then it becomes something more. And the overall question of the connection is what we are actually looking into. So I think riders here will really have to look for all their skills, and eventually there is a long route.
Sure.
For somebody that maybe is coming the first time here, or is, you know, novice horse, new horses to the level.
The Mirage pond has had a little bit of work done to it with It's been slightly widened and dredged, and the spoil used to create small mounds, little bit of contours either side, which I think over the years will make it a more interesting site to use. And this time the doubler brushes, and after the second one, there'll be quite a big drop going down into the water. Possibly the most traditional fence on the course is the stick pile. Very straightforward, very easy, great big timber, the sort of thing that was built here 30 years ago. It's still a big fence, but the horses will find it very easy, I think. Well now, Giuseppe, the last, I suppose, of your actual major changes to the ground here at Badminton. Yes. Quite a steep slope up onto this huge mound. We're at the site of the old sunken road. Talk about this first one. This is a natural tree that's just looks as though it's fallen down here.
Yes, this is all one tree that has just happened here. It happens. Well, yes, Badminton is not flat. No. Somebody was saying it's flat. Actually,
not now.
Not now. This is a typical technical skill to be able for a horse on top of a mound, you know, to just, this is an upright, it's not a big spread. But if the horse doesn't have the chance to see actually what is behind, he needs to trust a lot his rider, and he needs to have a physical ability to use himself to pass over. This, I think, is a question on its own,
yes,
and especially for horses or riders that are not accustomed to this kind of question.
Anyway, so that's part A.
It's just to get in.
So they land onto really quite a steep slope, quite a steep slope going down here.
It is difficult to know exactly what horses will be doing here, how they will move on the terrain, because it's a great change. There is a bit of gradient. I can imagine also horses that would break into trot here and jump this out of a trot. This is actually part of the question, you know, to be able to ride a bit out of feel, forget a bit all the pattern and striding and that, and ride what you have.
I know you've always said, I mean, ever since I've known you, you've always said that a log, a tree trunk, is the most friendly fence for a horse to jump.
Absolutely. I think, you know, horses understand logs and stumps, and it's something that is natural. And actually, every time there is more terrain like here, there is more unpredictable. I like to use logs because I think then they are forgiving.
So we better have a look at this third part, because there's yet another fence here.
You must think that you have the best riders and horses in the world here.
True, true.
And so when you have jumped that, probably at this point you imagine that there won't be a lot of speeds. And again, difficult to know where you move, the striding, whatever. You just need to get up and show the horse where he needs to go. Relatively skinny, and then off again into the gallop.
Again, a very nice friendly fence. It may be quite narrow, but I don't think that's not an issue for horses at this level on flat ground.
We keep going, and we are out again in the main area in front of the house. We jump the barrels and we come back to the garden. What you see is the white gate in the middle of a big grass field. Well, it will be interesting to see when they apply the brakes. It's just a matter to know your horse. It's just an upright, but it's still a white gate. And not only, there is another one after. So actually there is a turn to another gate, that they are part of this let's say, of this garden fencing. And from there we move again to the lake. This time it is actually a trailer that is coming out of water. I think is more of a feature maybe for pictures. There is the house in the background, you can take nice photo opportunities, and it's just part of, I would say, still a breather. Also, if you need to be careful because you're jumping from water to water and you need maybe eventually to take a pull if necessary. Keep going. There is a bit of a breath, there is some galloping in the trees, and you go to Huntsman's Close.
Well, the famous Huntsman's Close, used, I think, in every Badminton for at least 50 years, if not longer.
Absolutely.
This fence has been here some time, Giuseppe, I think.
This is beautiful. This is, I think, is great with this old pieces of wood, and it just fits well in the surroundings, so we're using it.
A natural log pile.
It's a very natural log pile. question is that you are coming from light into dark. That is already a question for the horses. The horse is now a bit in the course, so they're traveling, they're, you know, going a bit. And actually they only will see this fence. And it's up to the rider to show them the road to the next fence. And it will not be immediately apparent to the horse where he should be going.
So again, testing the riding is what we're trying to do. Let's find that next fence then. Yes, so here I now know where I'm going. The horse knows where he's going, but even so, it's still not the third element.
He still doesn't know that there is another one.
Because of the turns.
Absolutely.
Because of the bends.
And horses don't walk courses.
That's very true.
Riders walk courses. If you take into account this first element, you can't forget that you have a second one after. And it's all one line, all together, so it finishes down there. What could happen here is sometimes maybe you are too much close on the first element and then you could find difficulty in the last one. You must find the balance to curve so that you get the first and keep curving to the other element. The profile, I think, is very horse-friendly. I think at this point of the course we like to have horses that have this kind.
So when we talk about horse-friendly, we mean this slightly sloping front to it.
Absolutely.
So that if a horse gets a little bit close, he'll still get his front legs out of the way.
There's no right angle here. And I think at this point of the course, horses can become a bit tired, and it's nice to give them a chance if they come a bit close to, you know, have the way to get away.
Quite a big spread too.
But it's still a big spread.
Yeah.
And actually, it is a cut corner, so at the end you can't really jump a little upright near the flag, and you will anyway have quite of a spread.
And then you have to repeat the exercise
and then you have
after another, what, 3 or 4 strides?
Yes, it should be around 3 strides, something like that, depending a bit of the curve.
Towards the end of the course, the quarry, the HORSEQUEST quarry, has been given a retro look, a rather attractive retro look, with some new Cotswold stone walls being built here. It'll be quite a slow fence, and I'm sure Giuseppe was intending that they shouldn't be able to jump it very quickly. But if the horses are tiring, the walls will take a little bit of jumping, particularly the last one. Although horses jump well uphill, this will look a big fence as you're coming to it, particularly if you are on a tired horse. Getting towards the end of the course, the countryside brushes are a completely new feature, just taking the horses off the track slightly on a bending line, slightly slowing them down, most of all making certain that the riders are really keeping their horses balanced and organised, and not just shutting their eyes and galloping flat out for the finish. And then they come to the 2 ROLEX presentation boxes across the road. Fairly straightforward, a very inviting profile, but there's quite an angle on it, and the second one's quite big, and so I hope and believe there's enough there that the riders will have to keep concentrating right up to the finish, and then they go up into the arena and the traditional last fence with a big crowd to cheer them on.
To hear the exhilarating roar of that cheering crowd is every event rider's dream. Join us for what's set up to be an historic and momentous Mitsubishi Motors Badminton Horse Trials 2014.